Should the corn go in the ground first?
Yes, corn is planted first, right after the last frost date of the year for West Virginia and your region of West Virginia, which is normally around Mother's Day, mid-May. And we space the corn 3 to 4 feet apart between hills, and it's planted in hills. And we're you're dropping 4 to 5 seeds in each hill, and then we're thinning them to 3 to 4 of the most vigorous seedlings.
And then it grows, 6 to 8 inches tall. And then that's the time to start planting the beans. The beans can be planted right up in between the corn stalks. Or if you plant corn in hills, we could put 2 to 3 bean seeds around that hill. So that would be when the corn gets, 8 inches high, which would probably be 2 to 3 weeks before it gets that high. I'd say 3 weeks. And then the squash is planted 2 weeks after the beans. So it's just in sequence. So you just do what they call succession planting, not planting everything all at once, but just making sure that each one has a little bit of growth before you plant the next one.
How far do the bean plants need to be from the corn stalk?
I would not plant the beans farther than 6 inches away from the corn stalk. So they could be planted in sort of a circular pattern around the hill so that they can latch on to a corn stalk to grow up. And so we're talking about planting about 3 to 4 bean seeds per around the corn hill. And I don't really, you can be kind of close to the corn that's already up. So we're talking about planting these beans about 4 weeks after you plant the corn. So the corn's already about 6 inches high. So kind of go over about 6 inches from the corn plant, and then just plant your beans sort of in a circumference of the corn hill.
See, corn roots very deep. This is another example why these plants work so well together. Corn roots very deep and beans root very shallow. So they're not really competing in the same root zone on the soil. So, you can plant them right up on top of each other.
Okay, so where would squash enter into this arrangement? Where would be the best place to put your squash?
Squash are planted, so that can be either, that could be 4 feet over from the bean corn row, or any diagonal that they're 4 feet. So you just want them to be, I say 4 to 5 feet between, because you're planting 1 to 2 squash seeds per hill, and you got 2 squash plants every 4 to 5 feet. So that can be just a single row of squash that's 4 to 5 feet apart, 4 to 5 feet between your corn, or you can just kind of alternate the rows: corn, squash, corn and beans, squash, etc. But I would just give the squash, about 4 to 5 feet away from the closest corn plant. And that gives them plenty of room to grow. I just would recommend, before you plant the squash, which is about 4 weeks after you plant the beans, to do a little bit of hand weeding or hoeing to get those weeds out that may have come up if the planting has not been mulched with something. And that way, you got all the weeds out of the way, and then the squash can start doing their job, which is shading the weeds out when they start coming up and start vining.